Day School on Vancouver Island. Please. And I told my mother what I'm doing. She said, "What again are you doing a week before Pesach?" But there's nothing more appropriate before Pesach when the theme of the holiday is V'yigadta lebincha, which means that you have to teach your child and pass the tradition, the values, the lifestyle to the next generation. There's no better time to ensure the future of Jewish life on this island with opening the first Jewish Day School. Just short of 5 months ago, we announced the intention to open a day school. Now, what happened since, thank God we were able to purchase a property. We were able to hire a principal and a lead teacher of the school. We were able to hire an administrator of the school. And we have now full blueprints for the building, which is going to come up, the modulars, classrooms which are going to be there for September 2024. Now, before we begin, on our hearts and on our mind, our brothers and sisters in Israel, thanks to miracles and to the technology that hundreds of tons of explosion were on their way to Israel did not reach the destination, and people were not hurt, but we know that it's still very tense, and it's just appropriate as we are here, Jewish people gathering together, that we should begin with a prayer. So please rise, we're going to say a prayer together. It's a chapter 121 of Tehillim, and you have it right on the screen. Shir Lama'alot, Esai, Enai, El-Harim, Ne'ayin Yavo Ezrim. Ezrim Ye'im Adonai, Yosei Shamayim V'Haaretz. Al Yiten Lamot Reglecha, Al Yamin Shomrecha. Nei lo yanum velo yishan shomer Israel. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha, al yain yeminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yareach b'layla. Adonai yishmerecha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzilcha v'goecha me'ata ve'ad olam. May be seated. When we have an open house, we first want to talk about the foundation of the house. What are we hoping to achieve with having a Jewish Day School on Vancouver Island? So, of course, we're going to talk all briefly. So we're not going to be able to share everything, but at least the fundamental principles. So first is about identity. The first thing is, we want to make sure that the children who are growing up here in Victoria have a strong sense of identity as Jewish people. We have a small minority here, and we've been here for 20 years. And we saw that in order for a child to grow up in the city with a strong sense of identity and proud of their identity, it has to be that they will be in an environment that will support that. The second thing is the values. Jewish values, which we are all raised with, don't even realize how much they are part of who we are. And of course, we want to make sure that the next generation will be raised with those same values that is being passed, a treasure that's being passed to us. And the third thing is, of course, knowledge. We want the children growing up to have a real solid knowledge of the heritage, of the Hebrew language, and we we can tell you now, you can hear more about it, that in the school we're going to have a Hebrew immersion. So children who will be graduating from Kineret Tamim Academy will be able to speak fluent Hebrew. And the next thing is connection. We want these children to feel connected to the community, to feel connected to the people, to connected to Israel, our homeland. We know how important it is these days for people to be part of a community, to feel that they are part of a Jewish community, and this, when they are raised in this environment, we ensure that will be also part of how they see themselves. And the last thing, and not any less important, is the individual excellence. We were the Tamim Academy, that is the organization, the umbrella organization of our school. The philosophy is about allowing each child to find their own excellence. And this is not only, of course, in the Jewish and Hebrew studies, but in the secular studies. They found the best programs. Not only the children can learn and grow as a group, but as individuals, as students. So this is the fundamental principles of the school, the foundation of the school. And then we have the place which will house the school. Like we mentioned, you're going to drive down Quadra Street, you will not be able to yet see that building, but we have with us the architect, Annie. Annie, you want to say a few words maybe? Please.
Yes. With a team of full professionals at an extra fast speed, to provide a school for September, for next September. I hope that this building is as well thought of for you that it was for us. It's a fast building, it's a modular building, it's going to be full of light, and I hope that children will achieve greatness in this space. Thank you.
So I want to thank Annie, because when I called her, I spoke to her, I told her for September, she said, you mean September 2025? Yes. I said, no, 2024. And thank God, in a month basically, we put the whole building plans together with the engineers, and we are going to submit the building permit this week. So this is how the building will be looking from Quadra Street. But the main entrance for the children will actually be from Glasgow Street. As you know, right behind us here, there's the Adventure Park. And the children will be able to come through Glasgow Street, and especially those families who have also children in the child care, drop off some of the children in child care and continue right into the school from the back entrance to the school. This is how the blueprint look like for next year. We have two very large classrooms. You can imagine both of them together are bigger than the room that we are sitting here today. And it has everything the school that the children need to have in order to grow and learn. And soon you're going to hear how this place will be filled from the principal. Now, the moment has come now where we will, tonight, we will launch the registration for Kineret Tamim Academy. At the end of the presentation today, I will tell you all about this registration process. And we know that in the next few weeks we will have the children we need in order to open the school in September. And this will be the first year of Kineret Tamim Academy. And the plan is to go through elementary school and raise over here children for a generation to come. Now, in order to make all this happen, we need to have a visionary who will share the dream. And we started to share the dream. We found that we had more than one. There was one couple who really made a commitment for the school, Dr. Leo and Leah Kinauthi. They are the founders of the Kineret Tamim Academy. So I asked Leah, against her will, to share a few words and tell us why they decided that their legacy will be a Jewish day school here in Israel.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for coming. Just a little bit of background of myself. I have a BS in biology from the California University, and I have multimedia and internet publishing certifications from UBC. Currently, I'm serving as the president of Jewish Family Services of Vancouver Island. It is so good to see such a great turnout for this momentous occasion. We are so proud to be opening the first community Jewish day school in Victoria in 150 years. My inspiration to start a Jewish school actually came from my Talmud Torah experience in Winnipeg. It had a profound influence on me as a young child and motivated me to send my own daughter to Jewish schools in California. And once my grandson was born, just a few years ago, it became a stronger dream and an opportunity to educate the next generation of Jewish children. So now is the time for Kineret Tamim Academy. I wanted to see a Tamim school in person, and last November I visited the Tamim Academy in Phoenix, Arizona. I also visited a Tamim Academy in Miami, Florida in January. The Arizona school has been in operation for almost 2 years, and next year they are planning an expansion as they are right now doubling the number of students. The teachers praise the Tamim curriculum, support, and teacher training. I was privileged to see a rare and beautiful thing, children happy and excited to be in school. I spoke briefly with one of the parents, and the first thing she said to me is that her children do not want to leave at the end of the school day. I visited the school again a couple weeks ago with our new principal, Kristen Lundgren, and I was excited to see each child's progress in a variety of subjects in just a few months. I'm so privileged to be part of the creation of Kineret Tamim Academy, where children will be encouraged to develop their individual talents while learning about their Jewish heritage. KTA will be unique and precious, a treasure to our community, as beautiful as the Kineret, the only freshwater lake in Israel. Thank you.
Now, the most important, essential thing to have a successful school is, of course, to have a good principal and a good lead teacher. Now, we couldn't have been more fortunate in finding Kristen to be the principal of Kineret Tamim Academy. Not only as she has the experience, the knowledge, she has excitement and enthusiasm about this opportunity of helping strengthening Jewish education here. And you're going to hear more soon, but I think after you're going to get to know her, you're going to understand why every one of us who met Kristen felt that we found a treasure. So without any more introduction, I'd like to call upon the principal and lead teacher of Kineret Tamim Academy.
I'm very good with curriculum, but technology, less so. First of all, thank you so much for welcoming me here today. And I'm just wondering if the microphone is well enough placed so you can all hear.
No.
Up. I'm too tall. I'm too tall. I've been told that before. Thank you. Still really good point. My kids aren't. They're even taller. So I just wanted to introduce myself first because I'm not part of your community, but I've felt very welcomed. My name is Kristen Lundgren, and I'm a mom of 5 and a grandmother of 2. I have been teaching in French immersion in the public school system for 27 years now. I know it's hard to tell, but for 27 years, and 22 of those years were in early primary, which is a real place of joy for me. I'm currently doing my master's degree in education, and I have a dual major, and it's supporting and enhancing student mental health and educational leadership, which just happened to be what I was already doing when this particular opportunity came up. And it just seemed to fit. The opportunity came through a call from someone in the community, sitting there. Anyway, it was an interesting call, and she said, "Why don't I just send you the information?" And I said, "Oh, that would be nice." And I wasn't looking to leave the public schools, but then this opportunity presented itself. And when I read what the expectation was for the school and the philosophy for the school, I was very emotionally moved and very immediately drawn to this project. Because it aligns perfectly with my values and beliefs about children's education. So I believe in a child-centered approach. I believe in focusing on educating the whole child in all of their aspects. Play is a child's work, and I believe in teaching a child in the way that they learn. And also that relationships and social and emotional learning are all learning, really. Relationships are the foundation for everything. Identity and values, these are fostered at the school, and they will serve these students for a lifetime. So during my master's degree, something that I really fell into that reflected my values was Dr. Martin Seligman's work on positive education and positive psychology. Strengths-based learning. So finding what a student's talent is and what their strength is and really fostering that. Because once they have that confidence in themselves, then they can grow their other areas. So in that system theory, it's called PERMA, positive experiences in school. So play and enjoy and joyful behaviors. Engagement. If you have children or grandchildren or children in your life and you've seen them looking into a tide pool and they are completely absorbed and everything is just in that world of that tide pool. And that's the engagement you want to see in a classroom. Relationships, so both with the educators and also with their peers, and then obviously the wider community. But those are foundational. Meaning, and that is infused through this entire school program with the Jewish values, Judaics, and Hebrew studies. So meaning is inherently inside the program. And then also accomplishment. And that you'll learn a little bit more about. I'm going to talk a bit about what the day will look like, and that each child has a sense of completion each day so that they feel successful. Before I move on, I realize I have to push a button. So I just wanted to introduce my colleague, a lovely person who I've met online and finally met in person, Viviana Finkelstein, also known as Mora Yona. And not only is she a lawyer, she speaks 4 languages. She speaks English, Spanish, Hebrew, and Yiddish. And she's also a consummate, caring educator and professional. And I just feel so fortunate for us to have found each other. And we share the values of child-centered education. And we spent yesterday afternoon, and it was like we'd known each other forever. And it was really beautiful. So I'm very, very pleased about it. She also has more than 2 decades of experience in Jewish education in 3 different countries: Argentina, Israel, and Canada. So she just has a rich, rich background to share. In fact, so much so that in recognition of her contribution to Argentinian Jewish children's education, she has a tree planted for her in Israel in the Argentinian Jewish Education Forest. So that is a very large honor. So we're lucky she's going to be planting roots here in Victoria with us. We're very fortunate the children in the community will benefit very much from her presence, and so will I, because I'll be learning alongside her, and also we'll be teaching alongside one another. I love paper. Paper's great. So one of the things you'll see that's really special about the Tamim design is the physical space. It's meant to be, and actually interestingly, it very much dovetails onto what Hani already has been doing with the lovely peaceful spaces that she has designed. So it's aesthetically pleasing, it's a calm environment, it's supposed to be infused with natural light, really bathing in nature as much as possible, natural fibers in the classroom when possible, and also a color palette that comes from nature. And Leah and I talked about how we could draw in the colors from the Kineret, and we could pull those into the classroom as that color theme. The space is meant to be flexible in the sense that children can move around and they have lots of alternatives in where they work. There are zones for different kinds of learning, which also underpins the whole structure of the day. It's orderly. It encourages respect for the materials, respect for the space and the environment, and then also for one another. And the focus, these might look slightly stark, but the focus is on displaying children's art and children's work. So the classroom becomes decorated by what the children have been doing. So I think that is a lovely philosophy, and it's wonderful to see children's art up on the walls. The other thing is that the minimal distractions really keeps the kids focused on the materials, on the tasks, which is really helpful. So 5 core design features of the Tamim philosophy are the individualized child-centered approach, which is achieved through a Montessori-inspired classroom where there's engagement and ownership of learning, and students have group activities, but they also have a lot of individual work that they do, and interactively. So this fosters their sense of independence as learners and responsibility and agency in their own learning, as they do have choices that they are allowed to make during their day. The pacing is wonderful. It's not like a classroom where here's the activity for everyone to do, those two can't quite do it, these ones are busy, those guys are already finished, and now they're just coloring or something. It does not work that way. There's large group instruction, and then it's into smaller groups or individual work, and there is always opportunity for more delving into the curriculum during each block of time, and I'll explain a little bit about that after. So the whole child infusion of values and spirituality is going to be right from the start of the day. Through tefillah, through Hebrew studies, through Judaics, and also the integration of the Judaics into the interdisciplinary. Now I'm getting into educational jargon, don't fall asleep. It's, I will explain it in more detail, but interdisciplinary refers to science and social studies, and that the values and the concepts taught in Judaics are infused into that. And I will show you an example. Social and emotional learning, also focusing on feelings, self-regulation, how we communicate with other people, how we demonstrate our values and how we connect with others, with ourselves, with the world. And then when addressing the physical, so physical education and physical literacy, a relationship with nature, the academic element, and then artistic expression, which will be infused through the curriculum and also taught as a separate. So we have an integrated curriculum, which I mentioned before. It really just creates a web between all the areas the students are learning in, and it deepens and strengthens their knowledge and their learning. So I'll show you that example too. We have an immersive language program, and we have a unique program. I don't know that there's another, at least not in Western Canada, French immersion and Hebrew immersion, dual immersion program. So I'm very excited about that, and I really hope that any parents who have any concerns about that, we can dispel that. Children are very, very adept at absorbing language and also at dividing languages into their separate categories. So it's just a very exciting thing, allowing them, of course, to open pathways in their brain, in Canada to open greater practical opportunities by having French, and then also connecting Jewish students to their culture, to their history, to their spirituality, and to their identity through learning to speak Hebrew fluently. And I'm learning it. I know some letters, but I'm going to know enough that I can sound out words. I hope to do more, but I can definitely say I'll be able to sound out words if the vowels are there. So then, future forward. So because it's a very hands-on, it lots of natural fibers and things, it doesn't mean we're leaving technology to the side. Students will have the opportunity to enhance their learning through technology. It will not be filler time. It will be very purposeful in a limited and purposeful way. So also we will use appropriate benchmarking and assessment tools, which will help us to assess and guide their learning as they go through the school year. And we have some really interesting platforms that we can use to communicate with parents so that you are knowing exactly where your child is at in their progress over the course of even just a week. So you're not left until, you know, that next report card several months away. You can really be on top of how your learner is doing. So a day I get to do a little tour here, but it's not going to be that great because there's no really lovely little children here, but I can tell you what it will kind of look like. You just have to picture their smiling faces. So we have supervised drop-offs so that we have facilitate the start of your working parents' days, because we know what that's like. It's sometimes not easy. So there will be supervised time where you can just leave your child and go, and we will take care of them until the day starts. They do a sign-in in Hebrew and in English, and then we have tefillah. And when I had the pleasure of when I had the pleasure of traveling with Leah to Arizona, I got to see tefillah in action, and it was the most joyful, beautiful, spiritual, and moving thing to see these students who were so engaged and so joyful and proud of themselves. And it really put meaning in the day from the very beginning. So that is what we'll be doing when we first come in. And it was an immediate spirituality, connection, community, and a pride and a joy in their Jewish identity. So that's the tone for the whole learning day, right there at the start. So all of that, there would be a meet and greet where we have students at tables doing a cooperative activity where they're interacting with each other. It could be making Hebrew letters out of Play-Doh, or it could be a sorting activity where they're talking about how they're going to sort the materials and why they're sorting them the way they are. So it's cooperative and interactive. And during that time, Viviana and I would be circulating and listening and checking in with the kids at the start of the day. We have Hebrew and Judaics, which will be a blend of instruction, self-directed, directed. It's very animated, a lot of music, a lot of singing, and a lot of visual aids. So that will be happening for the better part of the morning, and that will be Viviana's domain. Snack and outside play, and we'll be outside. Unless it's something really extreme, we're going to get the students outside. And we have the beauty of the wonderful large park here, as well as the adventure park. So we're just, I feel very fortunate. Then it's the French immersion portion, and I use an old phonetic program from France. It's fantastic. It has gestures for every sound, and so we'll be doing animated things in French after that. Lunch and a story, French, English, or Hebrew story. It might be a told story, or it might be a read story, but it will relate to the curriculum, to what the students are learning. Free play outside, after lunch Hebrew meeting, then we have math. And I think this is where I changed the slide. Oh, no, it's not. You missed the tefillah slide. So we want to combine morning meeting and tefillah because they both have the same ultimate purpose, to connect and center ourselves for the day. In general, every meeting should begin with a greeting, then the sharing around a concept, tefillah, then a social emotional learning concept or routine. Theme. I love the picture. It's actually a Team Academy picture. It's lovely. So when they get into math, this is what it would look like. You would have, each student has a clipboard, and their clipboard is personal to them, and it has their daily goals for all the different subjects on it. They set those goals in consultation with the teacher. They have shelf activities. So they have the shelves and all kinds of activities related to a concept taught. There could be up to 12 to 15 different trays that students can take, and you can see them there, some examples. They would take those and work with them independently or with another person. Some of them are interactive. So when they complete that, they would stamp their own. They have to do 2 trays on this stage. This is probably early in the year, or else the trays are more complicated. So they complete their tray, they stamp it, they move on to their next one. They clean it up, they move on to their next one. They follow that process through. Teachers can write little observations on the sheet. So at the end of the day, they have their sense of accomplishment we talked about. And then also there's evaluation for the teacher in that. And the stars are their self-evaluation, like how did I do today? So that is sort of an example of what that looks like, and we call it a playlist at Tamim Academy, not Spotify. So I talked about the integrated curriculum, and it's interdisciplinary. That next block in the afternoon will be science and social studies, and it will be under a broad theme. And integrated curriculum will take Judaics and infuse it into science and into social studies. So the example here is the morning. This year we are exploring 2 things we can't see with our eyes, 2 things we can't see, but believe are there, Hashem and our Neshama. When we can't see something or experience it with our other senses, it can be hard to understand. So that's a discussion theme of the day in Judaics. And then in the afternoon, they're doing science about light. So you can read there. I know everyone, other than small children here, could probably read it themselves. So you have a science experiment, which is also based on the presence of light in people's lives in a physical, scientific sense. So the core values that really spoke to me in the Tamim, this is from the Tamim slides, the idea of growth mindset, it's taking that seed inside and really fostering its growth, connection to identity and community, integrity, joy, giving. So I think also at this school we have a unique opportunity to take advantage of the rich human resources that are available within the community for people who would like to come and help or come and contribute in some way or teach a skill, even if it's a one-time visit or if it's a regular type of thing. But that connection is really important. It reinforces that we're a learning community. There's a rigorous secular curriculum with unique double French immersion and Hebrew immersion, and also an extended school day. I want to emphasize the day is longer to accommodate the accomplishment of all the curriculum goals that we have in this busy day. Differentiated learning, structure, pleasing child-centered environment, and a school that is infused with eternal Jewish values. At KTA, we foster the perfect seed of potential that is inside each and every child, creating the optimal conditions for nurturing, care, and light that will allow children to learn, to grow, to extend themselves, to bloom, and then to thrive. I'm actually very, very excited to be part of this, and it's a wonderful opportunity, and it's really my hope that many people in this room or people connected with them will choose to be a part of it too. I think it has deep value. So I want to thank you so much for listening to my slideshow. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about anything I've said or other questions. I do have a Tamim email address already, and also you can be put in touch through Rabbi Kaplan or Anastasia. And I'm happy to answer any questions or call you back and chat. Yeah.
The day start for the kids. We're gonna have questions and answers afterwards. Thank you very much. Usually do this. We were talking before about miracles, and now in order to perform miracles, you still need to make some great efforts. And this was, of course, the case here too. But one of the greatest miracles was actually to be licensed in this very short time. We broke records, I think, as in how long. First of all, we started the process after it was already the due date, and we were able to reach it, and thank God have the certification to open an independent school. And while it is a miracle, there was people who made this miracle happen, and we couldn't have done it without the great experience of Ms. Kathy Lewinston, who's here, and she's been the head of school of the Vancouver Talmud Torah for 20 years, and she guided us through the process of the application. She helped us also with, of course, knowing how great of a principal we have here in the room. And she's been just an amazing resource for myself for all of us building the school. And she made a special trip to be with us today. So please welcome Ms. Kathy Lewinson, head of school at Vancouver Talmud for 20 years, and now a good friend of our community.
Hi, everyone. To say that I'm excited to be here is an understatement. When Rabbi Kaplan called me last January and said, you know, I got your name and I understand you're an educational consultant that specializes in schools and we need help and we want to open a Jewish day school. And I said, oh, for September 2025? And he said, no, for September 2024. So I put aside all of the schools I was dealing with so that I could help Rabbi Kaplan open a Jewish day school, because there's nothing more important. Every day my husband would say, what are you doing? And I would say, I'm writing policies for Rabbi Kaplan because we're going to go through the process of opening a day school. So as the rabbi told you, I'm a government-approved contractor, I'm an independent consultant, and I'm a retired head of school, and my hair isn't gray yet, even though I spent many years in a school. So on this subject, though, I know from where I speak, I've graduated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students from the Jewish day school system. They start in preschool 3, and they graduate after their bar bat mitzvah in grade 7. And so I look around this room and I see that there's parents and there's grandparents and bobbies and zadies, and you know, one of the pillars of a Jewish day school is community, and you're all here right now, and that's what makes, one of the things that makes Jewish day schools so unique. I'm a parent of your grandchildren and children. The gift of a Jewish education is one of the most important gifts you will ever give them, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. I want to congratulate Rabbi Kaplan and his team for opening a Jewish day school that will hopefully open in September. And I just want to say one thing, because I have a feeling a lot of you don't know this. It's exceedingly difficult to open an independent school in the province of BC. And that's because 3 things have to happen. You need a location, and that is not as simple as finding a church basement or a room in a strip mall. It's not that simple. Even when you find the space, the city of Victoria has to say, yes, we'll give you a municipal compliance letter because we feel that it's deemed appropriate to house students to go to school. So that's the first thing, and that was solved very early on, that you have a superb location. Well, the second thing is, what you need is a principal. And that is the hardest piece of all of it, because most schools, most owners, they can't find a principal. In today's job market, most principals are teaching. So how do you find a principal? Many schools can't, so they never open. So either it's the location that is the issue, or they can't find a principal, and even if they do, they find it hard to pass the rigorous government procedures that you have to go through, landing with an interview. And we went to that interview. My colleague Bev Bullock and I prepared Rabbi Kaplan, and we prepared Kristen, and we went to the interview. And it's 2 hours of rigorous questions to make sure that the government has confidence that actually this school could be sustainable year over year, because the last thing the government wants to do is open a school and then they close the next year. Well, I'm very happy to say that the government called me afterwards and said, Kathy, this is probably one of the most organized, professionally done interviews we've had in the last couple of years. And I just want to thank, yes, I prepared you, but Rabbi Kaplan, you did the work. And to have a principal like Kristen, who went into that interview and basically aced it, as my kids would say. I just want you to know that also in my career, I have hired hundreds of principals, And early on in the process, I said, yes, Rabbi Kaplan, I know you want to open a school, but I want to meet the principal. I want to meet who you're thinking would run the school, who would be the leader of your school. So very early on, we had a meeting with Kristen, and we spoke to her, and I got a good idea of the kind of educator she was. And I don't want to say, Rabbi Kaplan, you're lucky indeed, but you are lucky indeed, because it's rare that a school just starting in their first year can get a principal with the credentials and just the DNA that Kristen has. I have full confidence in her, and so did the ministry. I also never thought in my lifetime I'd have an opportunity to work on a project of opening a day school, because I live in Victoria, in Vancouver, and Victoria is close but far, and I never thought that there would be the population in Victoria to support a Jewish day school, but clearly there is, and I just love what I see today, because I feel very confident that the school will open. Okay. I could talk forever about Jewish day schools and why they're so important, but I just want to say a couple of things. So many of you who are in the room today are thinking about giving your children a Jewish education. I remember those days way back when my husband and I would talk. He's a graduate of Talmud Torah in Winnipeg. And myself, I went to Ramah Hebrew Day School in Winnipeg, and then we moved to Vancouver, and we just weren't sure where our children would go. We ended up being one of the founding families of the Richmond Jewish Day School, and then later on, my children went to Talmud Torah, and then, of course, I had my large part of my career being the head of school there. And Jewish day schools offer a unique community that you won't get anywhere else. I promise you that. And many of the friendships and connections that your children and grandchildren will make here are relationships that will last for their lifetime. And I'm here to tell you that's the absolute truth, because even though both my children, they now live in the US, and they often say, Mom, I met them in Jewish day school, or I remember them from Vancouver and we went to school together, and those connections are just so strong. And here you are, you have an opportunity to actually open a Jewish day school, and I really, really hope that you do, and I have a feeling you will. Also, we've come to know that children and students who regularly analyze Jewish text in exciting and meaningful ways develop higher critical thinking skills in other areas as well, and Jewish day schools seem to be masterful at that. Graduates from day school are usually very apt to get into the finest high schools, universities, and I've seen it firsthand over and over again. Studying and partaking in our rich traditions and learning a second language, and in this case also French, really helps children as they move forward in their education. So there's 1,000 and more reasons to send your children to a Jewish day school, but I speak from my heart, but I also speak from knowledge that children who are immersed in Jewish education are a step ahead of students going to a public school. And in the school where I was head of, we have a very large preschool, and there is no attrition between the preschool and the elementary school, because parents see it from the minute they come in the door. Their children have had their preschool experience, all of them transfer, and we have very little attrition till they graduate in grade 7, because there's just something unique about a Jewish day school. So I am here this afternoon. I'm happy to answer your questions, but I think, Rabbi Kaplan, you're in a very unique position. It's a wonderful thing to get ready to open a day school, and I look forward to coming back when the school's in operation and seeing the wonderful children led by a fantastic principal and a wonderful community that I see here today. So thanks so much.
Now, when Kathy said about the hundreds of teachers she hired, It reminded me of a conversation I had with Kristen's reference. So she gave me a reference of the vice principal of the current school she's working in, and it turns out that he's a Jewish guy. So I called him and I wanted to ask about Kristen. And he said, I'm not talking as her friend, and I'm not talking only even as a vice principal of the school. I'm talking of as a Jewish person. And I want to tell you, I've worked with hundreds of teachers over my career in education. I can't think of anyone better to run the school for you than Kristen. So to hear it from a Jewish person that felt that way, that definitely gave us tremendous encouragement when we met Kristen. We know how accurate this was. Now, when opening a new school, it is the trust of the parents to send the children and to know that they will get, I believe they will, but it's still the trust of the parents, that they will get the best education, and at the end of the day, it is the parents' decision. And I'm the Kineret Tamim Academy Advisory Committee. We have a parent who came into it and she wanted to hear. But now she's fully sold on the project. I'd like to present to you now Nomi Casiro, a parent of 3 children here in Victoria and a member of the Kineret Tamim Academy Advisory Committee.
Hi everyone, can you guys hear me? Yep. So thank you to all of you for coming today. My name is Naomi Casiro. As the rabbi mentioned, I'm a physiotherapist in the community, and I'm also the mother of 3 young children. My kids are ages 1, 4, and 6. And I'm here to talk to you not to convince you of anything, but really because we all want the best for our kids at the end of the day. And I really want to make sure that everyone understands the opportunity that this school presents so that you as the parent or the grandparent can really be educated in making the decision of what is best for your family individually. A few weeks ago, just upstairs here, I sat directly across from Premier Eby, and through tears, a lot of tears, described to him the really horrible state of rising anti-Semitism in our communities and our schools. If I'm being totally honest, do I think it did anything? Probably not. I can't control politics, but I thankfully, because of the founding of this school, can control the environment where my children spend their learning hours. And when I started on the Tamim Academy, I was full of questions and honestly fairly unconvinced, despite what I see as a bit of a crumbling public school system, that I was ready to make the transition from my children to private school. And for those of you who know me, I'm a bit of a skeptic and I tend to over-research decisions, probably to great fault. But in this case, I think the hours of research and questions really are justified. I had so many questions, and I know all of you do too. And I want to tell you a little bit of what I've learned through the process as Tamim Academy has come to fruition. So, first of all, number one, I learned through Bryna, who is the Tamim Academy curriculum designer, that the secular studies at this school will be impeccable. They're not antiquated systems that were designed and used because they were put in place millennia ago, but they're researched and very proven systems like Singapore Math and the British Reading, and they're implemented with these amazing Montessori-based implementation tools. I can tell you personally that in our meetings with Rabbi Kaplan and the other people that were involved, that the point of unbeatable secular academics was reiterated endlessly and unanimously agreed upon by everybody at the table. Second, I've learned through honest discussions with the rabbi and the teachers and the board that this is a community school. It's not an Orthodox school. It is a school that is built for us and our community, the Jewish families of Victoria. I strongly believe that we're all united in our Judaism despite individual practices, but I would describe my family as casually conservative. I wanted to know right away kind of what the religious views of the school were, and most importantly, what that meant in practicality. So I learned a few things. I learned that the kids can wear whatever they want to school, that the only uniform is a Kineret Tamim Academy polo, which all the children wear. I learned that the kids will sing fun Jewish songs to start the morning and prayers, that they'll get to learn Hebrew and French through an immersive education program. I learned that all the Jewish children will be made to feel welcome and loved and accepted for exactly the way they practice and experience their Jewish identity. The Jewish values like kindness and tzedakah, tikkun olam, and connection to family, and the Jewish holidays and history are really where the focus lies, and these are really the beautiful things that I want my children to learn and love and embrace. Third, I learned that the commitment to education and child-centered learning is truly unmatched. You all met Kristen and Viviana, and you can see how incredibly dedicated and passionate they are about what they do. And they have an equally dedicated staff at Tamim working behind them, who you didn't get to meet today. But the school is really being run by the most dedicated and absurdly qualified and incredibly invested staff. I learned through Kineret Tamim Academy, through this, that my child at Kineret Tamim Academy will have the chance to do some amazing and fantastic things in really amazing and fantastic spaces. So gardening and growing food in the adventure park and field trips and hikes around the city. I learned that my child will have lots of time outdoors and a chance to self-directed learning. I learned that regardless of income, the school will be for all Jewish children. And most importantly, I learned that my child will have a chance to grow and develop in an enriching environment where she can be proud of her Jewish heritage and experience the joy of being Jewish. So next year, instead of me coming into her classroom for half an hour to spin some dreidels and talk to their class about Hanukkah, my daughter will get daily immersion into Jewish culture and history and be surrounded by a community that uplifts her and celebrates her. The school is an opportunity, and it's one that I am incredibly excited and grateful to be able to take. And next year, my husband and I will be sending our daughter to Kineret Tamim Academy because for our children, we really have no doubt that this is the best choice. I hope that really all of you after today can see the beauty that lies in what this school has to offer. And I hope to see some of you and some of your kids there next year. And lastly, I really just want to really say a huge thank you to those who contributed and dedicated their time and money and love and tireless efforts to the creation of this school. It's going to change the future of Jewish life on this island, and I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunity that you've given our family.
Thank you. I also want to acknowledge that Nomi's wisdom helped us a lot in many decisions throughout the process of the school, so I want to thank you for your contribution. Now, to the part that many of you may think of, and this is how much it's going to cost. What is the tuition for the school? So first, like Nomi said, and that is a very important principle you're probably going to hear many times over, and this is that every Jewish child who would like to attend Kineret Tamim Academy will be able to attend, period. We will work with families, we'll accommodate people, we'll make sure that every Jewish child who wants to be part of the school community will be able to be part of it. But I want to just briefly take you through the investments that we have done so far in building the school, and also to understand what are the costs of a child in Kineret Tamim Academy, what are the tuitions, and I think you're all going to be very happily surprised. So first, about the capital expenses that we expected we will spend by September. The application administration that we will spend by then, that's including hiring consultants and administrators and so on, which we already hired up to September, will be $45,000. Property purchase was $1.25 million. The soft cost, that includes the building, engineers, as well as permits, PC Hydro and all that, we estimated $75,000. and demolition, construction, installation of the modular classrooms and the furniture is, we estimate, $460,000. Together, it's just over $1.8 million invested in the school, will be invested in the school by September 2024. Of course, we wouldn't have been able to do that without first the Kineret family and many others who participated in the campaign, as well as the matching campaign. Very successful, I should say, matching campaign that we had there just a month ago. All of these expenses are capital expenses, and these are not even accounted by what we are when we talk about the cost for children to attend the schools. These are investments that Chabad of Vancouver Island is going to do, and this is not something that will be part of the operational cost of the school. What is the actual cost of a child in the school? This is talking about the rental of the modulars, of course, all the billing that goes with the school, as well as, of course, the salaries for teachers and administrators. We are talking about the cost per child is $35,000 in this coming year. Kineret Tamim Academy tuition, full tuition, is going to be $13,500. That means that we are going to raise $20,000 per child for those children who are paying full tuition. Now, from our research, this is going to be from the least expensive schools in Canada, Jewish schools in Canada, for sure the least expensive Tamim Academy in the world, and I think one of the least expensive in Canada. But we are very happy to share that for the first 3 years of Kineret Tamim Academy, we have a special grant from Tamim Academy headquarters, which allows us to deduct $4,000 per child, which means that the cost is going to be tuition for this coming year in the first 3 years of Kineret Tamim Academy will be $9,500, and we are also adding the early bird. And this is a friend from the community who met with me last week, and they want to be anonymous, but they said, what is right now the challenge to open the schools? I said, we need to have at least 10 children signing up immediately so we can sign the contract with the principals and the teacher and so on. So he said, you need to have an early bird discount. I said, that would be nice. He said, how about I'll pay for the early bird discount. And they offered to pay $1,500 per child early bird discount, which means that the cost this year and to enter Kineret Tamim Academy for anyone registered before May 15th is going to be $8,000. And when you think of the cost and the investment per child, this is what it's going to cost in this coming year. This is $800 a month. Now, in addition, we have a second child discount of $4,000. This will be also in the next 3 years and the years to come, which means this coming year, tuition for one child will be $8,000, and if you have 2 children, it will be $12,000 only to send your child to Kineret Tamim Academy this coming year. We know that we need that commitment of the parents in order to begin the school. We are very happy that because of generous members of the community, we are able to offer this. And immediately today, you will be able to go online and begin the registration process. Now, I put it on the slide because this is very important. Regardless of what we said up until now, and we did say that this is the tuition is a fraction of the cost. Nevertheless, every Jewish child who would like to have Jewish education in Kineret Tamim Academy will have it. We are committed, and we have members of the community who told us that they would like to be involved in this scholarship fund, and we of course accept more members who are interested in helping with that, and we much appreciate. We know that in the coming year, in addition to all these discounts, we will need to offer scholarship as well. So if you'd like to read more about Kineret Tamim Academy, the website is already up. It's tamimvictoria.com. All the information that we shared is there, as well as being able to register immediately, a pre-registration for the coming school year. We also have here questions and answers that we printed out. For those of you, maybe there's only one parent here and like to have different questions and answers, we give out some of these questions and answers. We also have a brochure that we printed about the school, that you can read about the school and share about the school. And I know that together we are, we look sometime in different events in our life, we look in albums and we see different events and we look at this historical event. I look around here and I picture the faces. And tonight we are really making the greatest commitment that's being done on this island for the future of Jewish life, and we hope that parents, grandparents, and the entire community will be part of it. Now I'm sure there are many questions that we didn't answer yet, so we want to give an opportunity, about 15-20 minutes now, if we have questions to ask, and you can write a question if you want to ask someone in particular, or you can just ask a question and I will pass the microphone to whoever may be able to answer it. So, John, you asked before about the hours of school. So the hours of school is drop-off is 8:30 to 8:45 in the morning, and pickup is 3:45 to 4 p.m. In addition, there will be also before and after school care. So every single day, children are getting about more than 1.5 hours more than they would get in the public system. We know that today many parents here in the city, they both need to work full time, and they have to leave the children in the school system, and many times just have to have them there in the after school program, which is just the child care for many hours. So over here, you'll know that your children will be learning 8:30, 8:45 until 3:45 every single day.
So 8:45.
That's correct. 8:30 to 8:45 is drop-off time, and 3:45 to 4 is.
When will you feed them?
They actually, we should mention, of course, that we have now in the building here, we have awesome meals. That's a hot lunch being served every day at Sitats, and it will be offered as a service also for children at the Kineret Tamim Academy, which means that they will be able to, they will have not only lunch but snacks, and all they have to do is come to school in the morning.
Good.
So by how many grades will you start the school with?
Excellent, thank you. So we are going to start with kindergarten to grade 2. It's going to be a combined class. Now, since we have the Montessori system and running the classroom, we will be able to, of course, have different centers according to the level of the children. And also because for much of the day we're going to have 2 teachers in the classroom, one teaching the Hebrew and Judaic, and one the English and French. They will be taking turns with different children, making sure that everyone is being taught according to their level.
So as the kids grow,
Yeah.
will you be adding one more
Exactly.
grade every year?
Exactly. So the question was, will we be adding a grade every year? Yes, the answer is every year, God willing, we will add another class until we have children graduate elementary school.
Yeah, no. First of all, I mean, these numbers are miraculous. $8,000 to $10,000. I would have predicted it's astronomically high. But those numbers, are they based on an assumption of a number of students? It's 35,000 cost per year.
That is
on what number is that based on?
So this is based on the first year. The first year we based it on 12 children, 12 students. In order to actually get a certificate, we needed to show the government a plan for 5 years. And this is based on that plan. These are real numbers that we worked out. And as the school grows, there's more children, of course the cost will go down as far as the operational cost per child.
Awesome numbers, really.
Yeah, for this year, I could say I think we are going to be the least expensive Jewish day school in the world, maybe. Yes.
So, Rabbi, are you going to demolish the current house and build this by September, or are you going to have modular?
No, we're going to demolish the house,
Yeah.
and we're going to put modulars on that space.
And that's what the modulars look
That's
like?
what the modular looks like. You should see modular classrooms today around, of course, in every school, and they look like a beautiful building from inside. The only thing with modular, of course, you can have only one floor. And I think this modular of 2 floors, that's a whole different thing. So, of course, that doesn't allow us to take advantage of the space the way we would like to in the future, and that's why that's a temporary thing, because eventually we would like to be able to put a building there and be able to have multiple floors and multiple classrooms. And Annie, I hope you'll be there for that too.
Can you have night school for adults?
We'll consider that. Yes.
So how will the building be growing as the school grows and the amount of classrooms grow?
That's an excellent question. So right now, because of the Montessori kind of classroom, we can probably be in that current space for the next 3 years without doing anything, because right now we have 2 large classrooms, and one of them actually will have a divider in the middle, which will allow the class to be divided, so at least for 3 years. But we are already thinking about the future plans, and the plans, of course, to have a permanent building that will have a beautiful school, and hopefully that will be in 3 years from now, not only a dream, but something that will be worked on, maybe in construction. Yes.
Rabbi, this is amazing, and thank you all for the incredible work that you put in to make this super fast. It's fabulous. And my question is, are we good with the Ministry of Education? And is the government contributing financially to the school?
Excellent. So first of all, we are good. We got the certification. Of course, we're going to have another inspection in the beginning of the school year to make sure we are following everything. But we got the certification. And if we will pass that inspection in October or whatever it is, then in January we're going to get funding for this year. The funding for the beginning is 35% of what the funding is for the public school, which is about $3,500 for the year, so that definitely will help. And in the third year, it's supposed to go to 50%, which is the maximum that independent schools get from government funding. But right now, we have, of course, a full green light, and we have to just come up with the students, and the school will begin. Yes.
Is that $3,500 per child, or?
Yes, $3,500 per child per year. Yeah.
What about security?
Oh, excellent. What about security? The way we approach it, of course, we have already a Jewish institution here, and we have a preschool here. The way we approach it is that we get the best people to give us the best advice of what to do. So in other words, for us to try and think of every possible scenario, that's not our job. Just like, when it comes to fire, or when it comes to earthquake, which is, if you're asking me, it's a much more realistic thing in the environment we live in. We, of course, have fire drills, and we have fire alarm, and we check, and the same we do with earthquake, and the same we'll do also for security. We hire the company, they're ready. It's a member of the security committee in Vancouver for a Jewish institution that already is looking through the blueprints, and we will take the advice of how to make this building secure. So definitely taking the necessary measures. Yeah. Yes. Sure.
I wanted to answer the question about certification. So what the rabbi has now is an interim certification that was issued by the Ministry of Education and Childcare, and that means he can advertise the school, he can take enrollment, and then he can open his doors in September. And then next October, he's going to have another inspection, and if that inspection is successful, he will get a permanent certification to run the school. And then every 2 years, he'll have what's called a monitoring inspection, and every 6 years he will have a full 360 inspection. Because the government is providing funds, a per student allocation for the school, there are strict rules that all schools in BC have to make sure they're adhering to, and Tamim Academy is no different. So that's why I say opening a school is serious business, and it's monitored by the government.
Thank you. While talking about the financial, it does remind me that when you are in a religious school or a school that teaches faith and religion, you can get a tax receipt for a portion of the tuition. In fact, I know in Vancouver Talmud Torah you can get 60% of the tuition in a tax deductible receipt. We have to estimate exactly how it's going to be here, but I don't think it will be less than 60%. So in addition to everything we said until now, there's also 60% of the tuition that is fully tax deductible. Yeah.
I gotta say it, Rabbi, congratulations again, you've done it. Since I first met you 20 years now, I've never seen it up close. I thought Rabbi with this much accomplished, but although I know you guys are good, my question is, with the Jewish empire you're building for this community, I have some friends and we want to know when you're putting in the racetrack.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
As the school grows in number, how will you recruit new teachers?
That's an excellent question. With the community growing, of course, we will have more exposure, more families, I think, moving also from other parts of Canada. We can't exactly, but we believe that we should be able to have the resources for that. We were able to find the best principal without having a school. So I can imagine more we'll be able to do when we have a school. Yes, please.
Just to add to that, there's a fill a dream, make a dream, make a future, make a future, make a dream, fill a future. It's a website that you can look for educational jobs across Canada. We would use that. Also, there are some recruitment fairs at universities and colleges that are graduating students. And I know that also the Chabad communities across the country, there may be young people coming out of education programs or experienced educators who are coming, willing to come to Victoria. So we will pull out all the stops and make sure we cover that. So we can.
Yes.
2 questions. What does the after-school care program look like and the cost? And then what about time off for holidays versus secular holidays?
Oh, excellent question. So first of all, there will be, that's for the first question. So we know that we want to offer from 4 to 5. The cost of it will depend on how many kids will sign up and the interest. So this is one thing we didn't determine exactly what the cost will be. We don't imagine it to be a great cost because this is going to be just by a responsible adult. It doesn't have to be by a certified teacher. But this will be determined, and it depends on the interest the first year. Now, regarding the second question, so is the calendar up already? In the next few days, the calendar will be on the website, and you'll be able to see. But we already counted the days, and the Jewish Day School is going to open for more days than the public schools will be open. Of course, those of you who are familiar with CITAS know that we have a bit of a different calendar. For example, for Passover we are closed, and for spring break we are open, and so on. So there will be similar things around the Jewish holidays. And the beginning of the year, when the Jewish holiday, like in the coming years, are midweek, that means all those days off, of course, for the Jewish holidays. But all in all, a child is actually going to get more days in school than in the public system. Yes. Yes, Emma.
Who and where is the body or the organization that keeps up and monitors and certifies the Hebrew Jewish part of the curriculum?
Excellent. So the question is about the Tamim Academy. Tamim Academy is an organization run from Philadelphia, and it is a philanthropist who really wanted to help Jewish education across North America, and now I think they want to go globally. And the idea was to invest first in creating the best curriculum possible, both for English and for Hebrew studies, and be able to share it with schools. So if you want to open a Jewish day school, you don't have to invent the wheel, but you have it all ready for you. And they are involved and they are in touch with the teachers. Maybe Kristen can talk a little bit more about that, of the level of involvement of Tamim Academy headquarters.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And they do also do testing results for Hebrew studies through a third party, so we can assess in a neutral way how things are progressing. But Tamim is an incredible support. I have now access to all of the curriculum, and it's not only interesting, it's actually really enjoyable to read it, because every single activity and every single thing that they have prepared is of such high quality. And I know that soon Viviana will also have access to it, but it's a comprehensive, developed curriculum that we then deliver, and it is research-based. So, and I feel very supported. We will have professional development at the end of our first month. I have access at all times, and so does Viviana, to the resources through Tamim. So it's a really excellent way to get started. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yes.
Rabbi, I'm wondering about some children who might have special.
Rabbi Kaplan has been very clear about the philosophy that the school is a school for all.